I have a confession to make. I've been using AI, not to make music, but in making these episodes. Not every episode, but more and more recently. And not this one. I didn't use it on this one at all. But I read an article the other day in the New York Times that gave me pause. I kind of felt like this isn't me. I mean, I considered myself an AI skeptic and only started using it out of curiosity, just to see what all the fuss was about. But I quickly discovered it to be incredibly helpful for some things, especially research with some caveats. Like you have to double check it for sure. It will just make stuff up. But for day-to-day office work, it can take a lot of the tedious stuff off my plate, and that creates time for me to do other things. Okay, but the idea of using AI for anything creative just made no sense to me. I guess it still doesn't make sense. But that's what I've been doing to some degree. And look, I'm not handing over creative control to a machine. That's not what I mean. But it has gradually been creeping into my process. And I'm not blaming AI. I did it. I'm the one who asked it. It started when Adobe added the auto transcribe feature to Premiere Pro. So I could have more control over the captions instead of relying on YouTube's auto captions. Then I heard somewhere that I could upload that transcription, the captions file, to Claude and get it to create chapter markers for me, which is a real time saver. I hated having to go through and figure out where they should go and what to call each one. So, yay Claude. But then once it has your transcription, that gives you a lot more options, like coming up with titles or writing the description for you. And that's really where I feel like the turn was for me. I saw the potential to have an editor, to get another set of eyes on my work. It doesn't really have eyes, but you know what I mean. I started asking it for feedback on scripts I'd written but hadn't recorded yet, and then for help with scripts I hadn't finished yet, and then help with ideas for scripts I hadn't even written. And because I had started by showing it my transcripts, it pretty quickly got my vibe. It figured out how to write like I sound. Kind of freaky, actually. It's not perfect, obviously, and I would have to edit anything it gave me. Sometimes while I'm recording the episode, I would start to say something and it just didn't feel right, which could lead me to rewriting a lot of it. But the New York Times article I mentioned at the beginning is about exactly this, the effect AI is having on creativity. It was written by Rebecca Winthrop, who led a global task force on AI in education for the Brookings Institution. And basically the findings are that it ain't good. It comes down to ideas. Humans are better at coming up with ideas. The AI might be able to write things in a way that seems better than the average person writes, in a surface way, more colorful words or better sentence structure. But in their tests, essays written without the help of AI contained up to 8 times as many new ideas as the AI-assisted essays. And so, yeah, that made me really stop and think, what the hell am I doing? Especially since I'm writing about creativity. And coincidentally, the same day I read that article, I saw a video by Rick Bebbington, who's a photographer in England. And he pretty much said the same thing I'm saying right now. So where I come down on all of this, my grand conclusion, creativity is something you have to practice. These synapses in our brains don't just form on their own. We have to go through the process of coming up with ideas and cultivate that as a skill. There are no shortcuts, and I don't want there to be. I love coming up with ideas and getting excited about new possibilities, new directions I could take. I don't want to hand that off to an app. But at the same time, as a neurodivergent person, it has been incredibly helpful to have a lot of the busy work taken care of by AI. I'm not going to stop using it completely, but I'm certainly going to confine its use to the non-creative side of things. And you'll never hear me say anything that I didn't write. Well, I mean, unless I'm quoting somebody who's probably smarter than me anyway. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, keep the flow.